G'day guys, it's Stuart here from WS Tackle World down here on the Gold Coast. Well, I'm here all by myself again today, doing the fishing report this week guys for the 26th, 27th and 28th of April. This year is going very quickly and well, unfortunately so are the good weather windows. I mean, this last week we've had a couple of good days, but the vast majority of it has been very windy and unfortunately this weekend's not looking real flash again. So at this point in time, I just had a bit of a quick look. We're looking at anywhere from around, say, 12 to 18 knots of southeasterly. Is it fishable? If you've got a half reasonable boat and you're just going to take it easy and just troll those close reefs and things like that, yeah, it probably is. You could probably get out there and catch a few mackerel or some tuna and stuff like that. Trolling it is going to be harder to bottom fish butts. So just because that wind pushing up along the coast at the moment, you're definitely going to get blown around. It's going to be a bit uncomfortable. So what got caught this week? Well, offshore, we'll start offshore and work in. Today is the 25th, it's Anzac Day, and quite a few guys did go out there. Young Jake that works in the shop actually went for a bit of a deep drop, so we're starting like up in that, say, 280 to 350 meters up off Point Lookout, and they nailed it. So they caught lots of flame snapper, lots of ornates, and a few other weird particular fish from that depth, just using our little deep drop rigs. So these are little ones that we make up in the store. They're just 130 pound main, 130 pound dropper, little circle hook, all dressed up, ready to go, 3-way swivels, all quality components. And the boys said, and we found this last time as well, but the biggest difference was these little lights. So these are just a little water activated light. They work as soon as they're wet and they stop when they dry out, and you just clip them onto your rig. So on the top, generally we run a snap swivel on our rod. We clip it straight to a swivel on that one, and you just put it through that little loop, and you can see there that light's turned on there. So that's just once the circuit's all together, it completed, it just turns on. So those little fellas there definitely got the bites today. Mullet fillets as bait were the best bait as per usual. They also got some kingies and stuff like that out in the same depth, so on the same rig as well. But moving in a little bit, obviously that was good weather today, so that was doable. Moving in a little bit around the 50s and stuff like that. There's been a lot of kingies around that area in the last week as well. Still a lot of snapper and pearlies up in that depth as well. So is it going to be fishable over the weekend? Probably not, but early next week looks all right. So Monday, Tuesday, if you can do it, does look not too bad at this stage. So little ball jigs still the past couple of days on those snappers have been really, really effective. That's just a little Daiwa Koga. So anywhere from around 60 to 150 grams, depending on that current. That's the other thing I forgot to mention. The current out there today, out wide, hardly anything, very minimal. So all you need to do is just wait for a couple of good weather window days, as in wind. There's not a lot of current, so it's quite easy to fish less than a knot today. So it was pretty good, pretty easy. But back to those little ball jigs. So we're in a little bit closer now. So we're out around that, say, 80 meters, around the 50s, 80 to 90 meters. Little ball jigs work a treat. And look, some days they just really want a small jig. And generally, because of the weight of lead and stuff like that and the size that you need, sometimes you just can't get anything down to them small enough. There's an answer for it now. We've just got in some tungsten jigs. So tungsten's a lot heavier than lead. And these little fellas here, these are 80 grams and they're like the size of a 60 or a 50 grammer in other brands. So they are a little bit more expensive, but all made in Japan and very, very heavy for their size. So those little fellas there, the little start tungsten Kabura jigs, work an absolute treat. They also make a different noise when they hit the bottom. So tungsten being a different metal, it's a different noise when it hits any hard objects. So something else to give a shot. Coming in a little bit further now, so around 36s, all the fads have still had quite a few dolphin fish on them. Float line and half pill is still about the best way to get a feed of those little fellas at this time of year. And when you're moving from fad to fad, sometimes it's worth just throwing out a lure as well. So there's a few wahoo and stuff like that around the same type of area. But if you want to just troll, and this weekend's kind of going to be the one to do it just because of that weather, In around the 18s and the 24s at the moment, there's been a lot of little long-tailed tuna and Spanish mackerel, still spotties around, just trolling hard bodies. So I had another mate that was out there yesterday, which was Wednesday, and he smoked it. So got a couple of Spanish, only kept the one, and then he got quite a few longtail as well. So I kept a couple of them for a feed and then let the rest go. But just a little strata trackers for your deep divers, always pretty good, tried and proven, they work a treat. He actually caught quite a few on the fusy colour, which is that bottom one. And the other thing that it has been working pretty good are just the little Helco Laser Pros in the shallow. So the little 2 metre diver in the 160 size, so a little bit smaller. They've been working quite good as well. And all of this trolling, guys, I mean, you see guys tearing around at 10 or 12 knots. You don't have to go that fast. You can always just troll just in gear, like around that 6 to 8 knots. And it works really well as well. Still been a few snapper around that 18 fathom type reef as well. Just float line and just using whole pillies on gangs. Really small sinker above it and just let it waft down with the current. And there's also been a few spotties around the same area doing the same thing. So if you do just want to target the mackerel, just put a little bit of wire in front of your rigs. That always definitely helps with bite-offs. Coming in a bit closer now. So around the Seaway that last week, look, the weather was horrid early in the week and over the weekend. Lots and lots of fish caught around the Seaway. So rough weather, a lot of bait comes in close, looks for shelter. We had big tides, we had a full moon last night, and it sucks and funnels a lot of that bait from offshore, all those close reefs, they come in. And lots of little yakkers and slimies in the Seaway, among other stuff as well, gar, hardy heads and all the usual bait that you'd find around that area. But lots and lots of mackerel caught off the rocks on Sunday last week. So we're talking spotties predominantly, but still a few Spanish as well. There was only a few die-hard guys down there spinning the rocks, but they did catch quite a few mackerel and got lots bitten off. So that was great to see. Lots of tailor around that same area and trevally as well. So just feeding on all that little bait. For the medals, I actually forgot to bring them up, but they're a little Jackson, like a shore jig. We've got plenty downstairs. If you are interested, swing past and we'll be more than happy to show you the full range. But they've got a little assist hook on the top and a treble on the bottom. Lots of flash, very unique type of jig. So more of a shore jigging type metal. But the boys have just been spinning it like normal or kind of letting it sink back down and waft it through that bait. And it's been getting absolutely smashed. So really good to see. While we're down this end around the Seaway, been a few decent sized flatties around just on that flood tide of a morning. So areas to look for this time of year. Look, they're not massively schooled up by reports down this end yet. There are the odd solitary type fish. So generally they are a lot bigger. So back a wave break on that big morning tide, right up in the shallows, throwing bigger lures. So things like little swim baits have been working really good. That's a little power bait Nessie. That's just a 7-inch one. They also do the same in a 5 if you don't want to go as big. They've been working quite good and they're really easy to use. So they don't sink too fast, throw it out, and you can even just slow wind it and it'll do most of the swimming action itself. All of those big vast yabby flats out the front of the Grand as well, they hold a lot of good quality fish this time of year, and that bank down out the front of the trawlers, so a little bit further south near Marina Mirage. It's definitely not a numbers game, it's definitely a patience game, but lots of quality fish down that way as well. Same banks as well. If you are out there nice and early, you'll get that run in over those flats, and lots of wide in as well. So wade in with little unweighted yabbies or small lures. I mean, we just got a massive order of the little MMD splash prawns back in stock. So great little wide in surface lure there, along with brim and flatty, and nearly everything eats a prawn off the top. So just walking around, wading around, and throwing at all those little gutters and indents that you might see, even holes that are made by stingrays. There's just that little bit of difference in bottom feature. It's just a draw card for a lot of fish. So a little bit of an ambush point for them. Apart from that, guys, like drifting around the main channel and up around the Nerang, still been lots of whiting and stuff like that caught. If you want to give lure fishing for whiting a shot, just drift along on the edges of the channels, and vibes work really well. So little switch prawns, just a little, very similar to the other ones as well, but they've got that trail and assist hook. And for whatever reason, whiting just go absolutely mental for these things. So as do a lot of little tuskies and flathead and flounder and stuff like that. Moving up a little bit like north now, so around Crab Island, you do have that run-in tide. Definitely worth anchoring up and putting out a burley bag out the back and catching a few garfish. So lots and lots of gar caught in the last week. When to do it, the last couple hours of the run-in tide, definitely best. And if you are land-based, you can still access them as well. So down the end of a lot of the dead-end streets around bigger waters and Holywell type area, a lot of weed beds out the front there. So you can walk down the end, wade out, stake a bag with some burley in it, and then just cast your little floats out around there. So the burley is just going to attract the fish, and you'll be able to get a cast out there and catch a couple. So little garfish rigs just with a little pencil float. Little bobber type style floats work not too bad as well. And even those little fellas, that's just a little clip-on float, so you can adjust the depth really easy with these ones. And they always sit upwards because they're rear weighted. That's been working good as well. Great if you've got kids, it's kind of very entertaining. They swim and jump around and stuff like that once they're hooked, so a bit of good fun. Still been a few tailor up around that same area, so around Crab and around Sovereign. Just late afternoon, drifting with, or anchor up, a little bit of burley, not much, and just with some pillies out the back, just with lightly weight on the nose of the gang. So that's a couple of options down this way. Up around the pin, we had the Pertec Challenge last week, so that's a nationwide fishing competition, and lots of guys fished it from the Goldie in that horrid weather, and all proceeds went to a really good cause. But there was quite a few flatties caught in that middle section. So anywhere from say Koran to about Wally's Gutter, that middle section there, lots of flatties caught, and on little prawn style lures. So there has been a few prawns around that area as well, or around Jake as well. So they're flushing out with the tide. So it's definitely a good time of year to tie on a little prawn pattern. Nice and easy, pre-rigged Samaki ones. They've been working not too bad. They do a 50 and a 75mm version. And apart from that, the little Crushed Cities, which are the Rapala version, unrigged of course, but they worked quite well as well, along with a few others as well. So the Xeric prawns work good as well. Little one from Wilson there. But around that middle section, just look for any little sandbanks with weed on them. Receding water is always better than the tide coming in, and you're bound to find a little drain or a little runoff with a few flatties around the front of it. Up in the pin now, so pin bar's been fishing not too bad. Lots of dewies caught there the last week. Obviously we have still had rain, and that water's still a bit discoloured as well. So bottom of the low, first of the push of the run in, generally you're probably about the best bet to catch a dewey. Live baiting has been better than anything. So try to get some pike around Goldbank or those lagoons up around the pin on the northern end of South Stratty. Lots of pike swimming around them, frequenting them. And you can get them just by throwing little hard bodies and stuff like that over the weed flats. And you'll catch enough for a couple of baits anyway. And just drifting that deeper channel in the pin bar, you'll definitely be in for a good chance at a decent sized dewey. I mean, they're all generally over 1 metre up there, so they're quite good size. Apart from that, a few flatties out the front of, say, Duck Creek in the deep. It's a great tide, that first push of the run in and up to the high. You can fish up around the where the mud meets the sand type of area. Good ambush point for the flatties, and it pushes bait up along there as well. So really good just to throw some little plastics up around that. Little vibes work quite good as well, all up around that area. And yeah, a few wide in around the back end of Kalinga as well. So up on the western side, opposite Cobby. That's not a bad area as well. Good tides for it as well, that run in tide. Going up a bit further now, so we're up around like say Lamb and Russell Island. Still been plenty of prawns. So generally the smaller tides are always better. We do have big tides, we're just coming off a full moon, but there has still been plenty of prawns around that area. you'll just find that there'll be less of a window where they're thick. So they'll pop up and kind of unbury themselves and go marching around or whatever they do on the top of the tide or the bottom of the tide when there's less run. So they will still pop up. You'll get more in a shorter amount of time with bigger tides rather than when they are small tides like we had last week. You kind of get them all day. It doesn't really matter when you turn up. They're just cruising through. So definitely worth a shot up around there. Just past the power lines. You go past a couple of greens. I'd start looking for the boats from about those greens chasing north up to about Maclay in the deep water up there. So up around the Saltworks area. Look, apart from that, guys, freshwater's still been not too bad. The dams have been fishing good. There has been a fair few bass getting caught down deeper. So again, the little TT vibes are great for it. You can sink them right down on the bottom, bounce them off the bottom. Almost like you're teabagging in the channels out here for flatties and whiting and all the mixed river species or that type of thing. You're doing the same in the dams for the bass. So just on the edges of the tree lines, cast those things out or just drop them while you're drifting down the edges of the trees. And if they don't get eaten on the sink, they'll get eaten once you start working it. So, and they're relatively snag proof. They kind of bounce over the trees and stuff like that. So bit of a good option for you. The rivers and stuff like that under the dams, so the top end of the Coomera and the top end of the Nerang have been fishing not too bad. Early morning, late afternoon surface stuff this time of year is always good. And again, the little MMDs, I mean, probably go the little next size up, so that's a 95. A little bit more disturbance on the water. Those wild fish, they see a fair few bugs and leaves and sticks drop in the water, so you want something to create a little bit more presence. So they'll work a treat on the bass. And yeah, apart from that, guys, last stop on the beach is probably going to be a little bit blown out this weekend. You might get it in really early. Just chase those shallower gutters. Don't cast too far. Fish nearly at your feet. There's been quite a few nice whiting caught. So just on worms, beach worms, or just little bits of pippy. So yeah, hopefully that helps you guys. There's definitely lots of options for the guys that want to get out there over the weekend in that little bit of wind. Probably leave the wide stuff for another week. It does look very average. Inside, like in close, it might be all right, but if not, plenty of options through the broadwater and the dams. That's me, Stewie Grice, signing out for this week's fishing report, and we'll catch you same place, same time next week. See ya. Bye.